Hey there, Fletcher from All Things Overlanding here, and today I'm pretty excited because I'm going to be doing a comparison of all three of BougeRV's lanterns. So from their first gen, this guy in the middle, to their second gen, which was the really nice thin one, but mostly plastic, and you know these things are kind of floppy on the outsides here, to their new third one that has a metal body. So let's get into the BougeRV lanterns and what makes the T1 a worthy successor to the old versions of this light.
Understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip.
All right, guys. So as I mentioned, I've been a big fan of these BougeRV lanterns for a long time. So I've had this one the longest. This is sort of their initial first version. And honestly, I really like this thing, but it is one of the bigger ones. So when you look at this side by side, this is the biggest light that they have. Another sort of downside to this light is just that these things are a little floppy. So they're kind of like out in the open and exposed. You just got to be careful that you don't break them. This top piece, you know, kind of comes up. So there's just a risk of breaking it. But so it's been very good and very resilient for the time that I've had it. Although you can kind of see it is a little bit crooked. So I don't know if I bent it or what. Still works perfectly fine. But, you know, all three of these charge off USB-C, which is really nice. And they also operate as power banks. There's a USB-A back here too, if you wanted to charge your phone off of it or something like that. But as far as how it opens, you know, it's a little tricky to open this thing. Like you kind of got to force the feet out, and then once you get it, then it kind of opens like that, and then you got to pull this up. But as I'm pulling it, like I feel it just feels a little janky, right? And as these go up, you know, eventually if these break or something, they do pivot and swivel, but they're all plastic, right? Now, again, I've used this thing a number of times. It's been totally fine. So I'm not trying to say that this thing is not a good solid light. It really is. But there are definitely more risk of this thing getting damaged just because of the way that it's designed. Again, when I fold this down, I always feel bad, like I'm going to jam one of these lights into the base and mess it up. And also then when you close this, you can pinch your fingers and stuff. It's just kind of a little bit of a pain to do. But this thing right now with the release of the T1 is about $66. And so is this one. So again, these are going to kind of come down to form factor. Now, this one is a little bit smaller. This one also includes a carrying bag with it, whereas this one does not. So this one just comes like this. But this one does come with this little bag. They give you some stakes so you could stake it down, and they give you a USB-C charging cable. But then you get this nice little bag just to kind of protect it. Now, again, these are the same price. So this is why I'm telling you all these features of them. Now, this one, though, is very similar in design to the new T1. And what I mean by that is this has these more skinny sort of lights on it here that fold down into the side, and then the feet come out of the bottom just like the new T1 as well. So look, the design of this is just really smart. They slide into the back here, and you literally just pull these down and then slip them out, and then those are your feet, and then you can set this thing up. So it's a little bit wider base. It's definitely more stable in high winds and things like that. The T1 is very similar to that, but again, it's all plastic, so you can kind of see these things are just kind of held in there, and they, you know, kind of pop out a little bit. So again, not a huge deal at all. They come with the bag, so you can keep it in the bag and keep it protected, but you kind of have to hold this in when you put it in. Now, they all have this little flashlight on the top. I almost never use that, honestly. I just use it as a lantern, but it's nice that you have that option and it's consolidated. Just like the old version of one, this one charges off USB-C, but it does not have the USB-A port. Now, not a big deal for me. I never use these lights for any sort of like a charging thing because I have other batteries that I use for that. I just want them to be lanterns, but just FYI, you will not have a USB-A to charge off this one. Another thing that I like about this is these feet are reflective. These are reflective, so you know when you're walking up with another flashlight, you're less likely to trip over it, and then these holes in the bottom, of course, allow you to stake it down. So I've really liked this lantern and used it quite a bit for the last 6-8 months probably. It also does have a little hook on the bottom of it, which this old one does not, but this one does have a 1/4-20, which is kind of nice. So this one could be mounted on a tripod and extended if you want to make it taller. This one does not have the 1/4-20, but it does have a hook, so you could hang this upside down. So I've hung this sometimes from the bottom of my awning just to use it as sort of an upside down light. And then these things, you know, can be twisted and turned too. So you could hang this, and then turn these upside down and use it as a sort of a hanging lantern above, you know, let's say your camp kitchen or something like that. So now this is the new T1, and here's what really makes it special. This thing is a metal body. So whereas these are all plastic, and as you can see, these things are just kind of flopping around out there, This has a metal body, but the feet operate the same as the second gen. But as you can see, these things are beefy, right? They're super, super thick. They click into place when you pull them out, and they're really, really nice. Now, another benefit to this design is that in this metal housing is your actual lanterns, and they are turned out. So what I can do is I can turn this on like that, and I could leave these things inside the metal case, and you can turn them on, you know, turn all three of them on. And you could just set this thing out as a little mini lantern, you know, next to your chair. If you don't want to, you know, blow out the whole campsite, but you want a little bit of ambiance, a little bit of light, you can put this thing out on the ground. Now, you still have full control over the lights, so you can also make it the amber sort of color. And they've also got a red mode, which none of the other lights had. And I've said, since I've had the other two lights, man, I wish they had a red mode. That would be so cool. The new one has a red. So it has a bright white, it has the sort of amber color, and then it has the red mode. Now, here's the other cool thing too, though. So you can use this, you know, just as sort of a lantern, like I said, down at your feet. But when you pull these up, they actually slide out of the body. So the body helps protect them, keeps them in, makes it so that you're not going to risk ripping one of these things off or potentially breaking one of these, which I love that about this design. Now, this thing will go up to about 5 feet like the old ones. All these things are twistable. So again, you can extend these up. Now, one interesting thing is that this has a 15,600 milliamp hour battery, which this one does too. And this was an improvement over the first one, which was a slightly smaller battery. But one thing they've done is they've increased efficiency with the LEDs. So this one now will go for about 100 hours on a charge on low. Now, whereas the old one was about 60 hours on low on a charge. So I love that they've increased the efficiency of it, that they've made it last longer. That's just awesome, because obviously if you're going to go out for a few days on a weekend or for a week at a time, you want to be able to make sure that your light's not going to die. Obviously you can keep charging it, but it's just nice to not have to worry about it as much. And this thing, as you can see, is super stable. It also has holes in the feet here for stakes as well, and it comes with those stakes too. To put them back in, the only sort of downside is they do have to go in a very specific way, which is facing out, but then that's what allows you to use this as a lantern. When you're ready to put this thing down, you do have to remember to turn them around and put them down in order to get them to slide into the body. But that's literally the only thing. That's not even really a downside, but that's the only thing I can think of that is kind of a little bit of an annoyance to put it away. So on the top here, you have a plus and minus button, which is going to obviously adjust the brightness. You've got this sort of switch mode button, which is what switches it from red to white to amber. Then you've got your power button. If you hold both of these at the same time, then you get an instant red, and it just comes on at the red level. Now, if you want the flashlight on the top to come on, you hold the switch button for a few seconds, and that is what turns on that flashlight. So again, when this thing is all fully put away, I'm going to turn this off for a second. Let's say I put this thing away, right? You put those down. You get them into their body there, and you flip these down. You can see how fast it goes away. If you want your flashlight on, you just hold this again while you're walking around camp, and that turns your flashlight on. And it's a pretty good little flashlight. I mean, it'd be perfect for like going to the bathroom or checking on your kids in the middle of the night if you needed to, but that is there. Now, as far as the bottom goes, as I mentioned with the other one, the first gen had the quarter 20, but not the hook. The second gen has the hook, but not the quarter 20. With the new T1, you get both. So you get the quarter 20, so you could attach this to a tripod and extend the height of it, or you could also still do the hanging thing like I do on my awning and hang this from the hook and then turn those lights around and make it sort of a lantern hanging underneath of your awning, which I love. I love that they put the thought into this. So like, I love to see the advancement, right? Now you do have battery capacity on the side here, 25% intervals. And then of course you do still have the USB-C for charging. So they still are USB-C charging. Now, again, no USB-A on this. I personally think that's kind of silly. Like, I just don't think that many people use these as portable power banks. But if that is a big problem for you, you may want to look at the first one. Another thing to mention is if you already have the first gen light, because this one's a little bit thicker and a little bit bigger than the second gen, it does fit perfectly in this aftermarket case that I bought for my first gen light. So I'll put a link to this thing in the description down below. But I was kind of like, oh no, I like this new this new light, but I really like the case that I had for my first gen light. But check this out. The new one is pretty much basically the same size and fits perfectly in that carrying case as well. So I like that. All right, so a couple more points on the difference between the T1 and the older lanterns. The T1 now will take up to 30-watt fast charging, which is really, really nice, whereas the old ones are more of like just a standard USB-C. So this thing will charge up faster. Again, the old one sort of just had, this one didn't even have amber. This one sort of had the amber in it. This one only had different levels of white. So I actually kind of didn't like that about this second gen, because I missed the sort of amber color of this, because that's my favorite at camp. It's just kind of that soft amber light. This one, again, has the white, the amber, and red, which is awesome, as well as SOS. So these just had the sort of basic brightness levels. This one has a number of brightness levels plus all those different colors. Now, these old ones are IP54 rated for waterproofness, which means that they are rated for both waterproofness and dust, whereas this one is a full metal build and it's IPX5. Now, the main thing for that is that it means this thing is not rated for dust. So if you are in a more dusty climate, then the second gen may be a better option. But this thing is stronger against water. This thing will take more direct water to it than the old ones will. Again, probably because of the metal body and the design of it all being internal. Then finally, as far as coverage goes, the old lights only put out about a 538 square foot radius around them. The new one, somehow, even though it is more efficient and will last longer, it will put out up to a 1,000 square foot range around this light. So it's much brighter, almost double the area that it's going to light up on the new T1. So not only do you get longer capacity, longer runtime, all the features combined for both of these lights, plus a red mode and more functionality, you also get almost double the coverage from a light standpoint around this lantern. So this is going to become my main lantern for sure. But again, they're just all so cool and so functional. And I like having backups too, because then if you do happen to kill the battery, then you can just pop another one out, throw it out, and you've got room. Or if you want to cover up more space, if you've got, a big campsite or you've got multiple people camping, it's nice to have a couple lanterns. So again, these go for about 66 a piece. This one's about 80. So it just kind of depends on which one makes the most sense for your setup. But hopefully that info is helpful for you regarding the new BougeRV T1 versus the first gen and second gen lanterns. All right, guys, so that will do it for the BougeRV T1 lantern. I've been a big fan of these for a long time. There are a ton of brands that make really nice extendable sort of fold down lanterns like a Devos or things like that. But of course, a lot of them are really, really expensive. And this thing for 80 bucks is kind of a steal of a deal. With this metal body, it's super, super tough. It can literally stand up. It's IP5 rated. So, it can have a direct spray on it. If you leave this thing out in the pouring rain and it's blowing sideways and everything, you don't have to worry about it. So it's very, very rugged. I also like the form factor of it, because what I plan to do is basically drop this thing down when I get my camper. I'm in the process of buying a camper right now that's going to be enclosed, so I'll be able to keep everything out of the weather. But I'm going to make a little custom foam insert for this where it can sit down in it, and then the USB-C can be exposed down there, and I can just plug this thing in the back of my camper and keep it topped off. So when I get to camp, it's always charged. I don't have to worry about taking it inside and charging it and remembering to bring it back out. I plan to just have this sort of almost hardwired into my truck where I can just unplug it and pop it out whenever I need it. So again, really super cool lantern. I hope that info was helpful for you. There will be a link in the description down below if you're looking to get one of these, or if you want to, check out all the stats on it. Click through that link down below. Of course, if you have any questions, post up in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got. As always, there will be links to all my social channels down there. So wherever you want to come follow along, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever, I'm everywhere. Would love to have you on those other channels as well. There's also a join button below this video, which is just sort of a passive way to support the channel. It gets you early access to the videos that I post. I do a couple every week. So if you join via that, then you actually get to see them whenever I put them up. So I put them up early, release them to the members, and then you get to watch them before they ever get posted live to the rest of the audience. So kind of a cool little perk. And again, it just supports the channel. Now, if you want to be more involved with all things overlanding, there's also a link to my Patreon page, which we have a 24/7 Discord. We do a once-a-month Zoom call, and we're going on a couple trips every year. So if you're interested in that, we try and go east, we try and go west, so we're trying to get everybody involved. So again, if that sounds good, click through that Patreon link. Then there's also a link to my website where I've got funny overlanding camping themed patches and stickers, things like "Don't burn your wiener and it's a hot dog," or "I hate people so I camp." So if you want to see those, check those out. Check that link in the description below. And then last but not least, there's a link to the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group. Now, this group is totally free to join. If you're on Facebook, you should definitely check it out. Different from the big groups, we don't allow bullying or a ton of self-promotion, so it's a pretty clean spot to ask questions, to answer questions, to help people get into the hobby, to help them with their setups, and to learn a lot. So definitely consider checking that out. But again, I hope that was helpful on the BougeRV T1. Click that like button if it was, and make sure to click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified when new videos drop if you enjoyed the content. But thanks again, and we'll see you next time.